Over mask wearing is back in full force. This week, House Republicans staging a maskless protest. They're seen here marching to the Senate in a demonstration against new COVID protocols that were put back in place after the CDC updated its guidance. Joining me now, Dawn Calloway, Democratic strategist and founder of the National Voter Protection Action Fund, Susan Del Percio, Republican strategist and MSNBC political analyst, and David Jolly, former congressman from Florida and MSNBC political contributor. Hi, guys. Hardly seems like a week since we last spoke, but I'm curious what you make of all this, Susan. We have the cases surging across this country, in fact, in many of these lawmakers' districts. And this is how they choose to lead by example?
Well, they're not leading. And it will take deaths to make their actions change. Do not forget that there's also about 60 members, Republican members of the House, who are not vaccinated. It is very likely at least one of them will get sick if you start looking at the facts that are out there. Wearing masks are a way of preventing people from getting sick. Yes, I wear a seatbelt. It doesn't mean I can't go 150 miles on the highway. You need to do both. You need to get vaccinated, and we need to prevent the spread for other people. You showed in your last couple of segments, Alex, Texas and Florida. Their hospitals are being overrun. So it will not just be people with COVID going in who will die as a result of not having care, but it will be those who have a heart attack or need life-saving measures. And that, sadly, is probably the only thing that will wake these legislators up.
Sadly, indeed. Texas Congressman Chip Roy has been the leader of sorts in this anti-mask crusade in the House. Let's take a listen to what he said on the House floor just this past week.
We have people infected with COVID coming across our southern border into Texas, and you all put masks up front here on the people's house. We got to go around and see, okay, we can't come to the floor. I can't execute my constitutional duty unless I wear a mask. This institution is a sham, and we should adjourn and shut this place down.
Let's just take note there, David. The other Congress people who were behind him there, behind Chip Roy, they all had masks, except one, Marjorie Taylor Greene. That being said, we've seen this recent switch in narrative from Senate Republicans. They've been strongly urging vaccinations. Are the House GOP actions like this, does this just cancel out that whole initiative?
Sure, it absolutely does. And I think the context is important, Alex. This is not simply an order of Speaker Pelosi for reasons that she believed to be of import. There is an office of the attending physician. There is a doctor responsible for the environment of the Congress, the environment of the House of Representatives. That physician has determined, given current conditions and the density requirements of the chamber and the House, that it is in the public health interest of the Congress to reinstate a mask-wearing requirement. And so what you are seeing by Republicans is simply a war on public health behavior that they don't like. I think you're also seeing a dramatic rise in ignorance among House GOP. And frankly, that's being translated through their public policy positions as well. Look, I've said several times, and I say this with lament, not to try to take a jab, I think we are experiencing one of the great failures in American history. Industry, science, leadership, patriotism, sacrifice has all given us in 2021 the tools to end a global pandemic. But because of irresponsible behavior of our elected officials, as well as some of our fellow Americans, we are now facing a new wave and a new threat of the coronavirus. And it is a shame. It's preventable.
I'm curious, in your mind, Dawn, what do you think is behind this? Is it really about putting on a mask, something as simple as putting on a mask? Or is it a political stunt? And in fact, as political stunts go, this one could cost lives, right?
It not only could, but it will cost lives to the extent that we don't take the actions that we can right now to end the Delta variant and all of its subsequent variants. Unfortunately, people will die, and that's a harsh reality. Not only those of us who don't get our lives back or have to go back into quarantine, but unfortunately, people will die, and that's a sad reality. But I mean, to answer your initial question, which is what is really behind this, I have a hard time on television because I'm kind of a history guy, and you have to dig into history. And the history of the United States of America is the idea of white male supremacy, white male patriarchy unchecked. And even we have gotten to such a toxic place that even, hey, wear a mask or register your gun is some type of incursion on the freedom for white men to do what they want to do without being ever, held accountable or held to have to think or take responsibility for their actions on other people. Of course, men are highly infected with this too, but if we could really, the history of our country is male egos run rampant, and we really, unfortunately, should not be surprised that it manifests itself in anti-masking or anti-vaxxing, because that's really where we are.
Thank you for that big picture perspective. I appreciate that, Don. So, David, let's look specifically at your state, Florida. Over 21,000 new cases of COVID were recorded just yesterday. And the shocking thing is it is the highest daily number since the beginning of the pandemic, okay? Yeah. But then you have Governor Ron DeSantis, who earlier in the summer prematurely declared victory, saying the state came out relatively unscathed. He's now sticking to that. He's banning mask mandates. He's slamming what he calls a, quote, Faucian dystopia. What do you make of this?
It's very Trump-like in terms of setting his own narrative, his own victory lap, and refusing to recognize any flaw in that. I think it's also obvious that Ron DeSantis and other leading Republicans in the state of Florida, the Republican class, is eviscerating principles of local control, right? If local school boards, local counties want to implement their own safety measures, Ron DeSantis is not. And I think it suggests that should he become president of the United States one day, he would eviscerate principles of federalism in blue states for reasons of his own ideology. But I think what we're seeing with Ron DeSantis is reflective of other Republicans as well, Alex. Even when they say, get vaccinated, because Ron DeSantis has said get vaccinated, there's always a caveat and there's always a lack of strategy. He says you should get vaccinated, but if you don't want to, that's okay. We're not going to do masks or any of these other preventive measures. It's almost like he's checking a political box and saying get vaccinated, but it's devoid of any comprehensive strategy that you otherwise hear from leading public health officials and, frankly, elected Democrats across the country today.
Yeah. Susan, there was a study put out by Axios this week in which it showed that the most hardcore opponents of coronavirus vaccination, the group who say they will never get one, they tend to be older, whiter, and more Republican than the unvaccinated Americans who are still somewhat persuadable. And in fact, they are slightly more women than men, but there's plenty of men to go around there. Why do you suppose that is?
Because they've been led down this false narrative, not just by Republican elected officials and the former president, but also by Facebook. We have to take a look at social media and look at the amount of false information that is out there, Alex. And that is something that, while it's mostly Republican, there are Democrats who also buy into what they read on Facebook. And that, I think, we need to call on, and that's maybe something some of the legislators in Washington to do, is focus more attention on the false information on Facebook, because that should not go unnoticed. The other part is unfortunately, these are the people who will die first. Yeah. And that will be a reflection not just on Facebook, but on the elected officials, those Republicans who are not encouraging a full vaccination. And as David said, you can't have an exception. If you don't want to, that's okay, too.
Yeah. Dawn, let's quickly take a listen to what Jeanine Pirro said last night on Fox News. Here it is.
The Biden administration failed at their effort to get us vaccinated by July 4th. And now we have to pay the price. And now you want to mask us because you clearly failed in your effort to get us vaccinated because the totalitarian impulse within you is so strong? Nothing makes sense.
Yeah, including that soundbite. I mean, is that July 4th failed target all on Biden, though? And because it was some leading Republicans and networks like Fox News that continue sowing vaccine doubt. Was there anything Biden could have done to have fixed that persistent narrative?
No, Alex, I've been friends with you for a long time. I would never make you sit and listen to Jeanine Pirro. I don't know why you would subject me to that on a blessing. But, listen, I was thinking earlier today that it's time to hold Fox News accountable. I wish that data scientists could get together and media scientists could get together and tie Fox News' not only rhetoric, because every network has a slant and an angle they're trying to push, but actual false statements. And it's time to tie these false statements to actual deaths in the regions where Fox News is watched the most, and in the demographics who continue to adopt this not only slanted or biased information, but false information. Jeanine, however you pronounce her name, Ms. Pirro should be debarred because she is a member of a state bar association and she has a duty to the people to not tell